you give a big hand for errors, applause for mistakes? Without them we wouldn't be here. Let's hear it for inexactitude, for imprecision, bravo, for fudging it, hip hip, 3 cheers. DNA of twisted double helix fame is an expert at that self-replication game. But once in a million times it goes wrong, and thanks to that we're singing this song. Won't you give a big hand for errors, applause for mistakes? Without them we wouldn't be here. Let's hear it for inexactitude, for imprecision, bravo, for fudging it, hip hip, 3 cheers. If that new mutation is
2, 1. Hello everybody and welcome to God Talk. My name is Michael Mack. This is my good friend Michael Koran. And each week at this time on Cambridge Community Access Television, we get together for our show called God Talk. So we talk about God and we talk about faith and we talk philosophy. We talk of all of the great questions of life and we try to answer them in 27 minutes. And barring that, get in the picture. Wow. The kid stays in the picture. So we've got, so we have 2 shows this evening. Your show is first, my show is second, 27 minutes each. And you want to talk about something in particular. You want to talk about, is it Plato, Socrates?
And the light.
And the light. The good.
And the good, inspired by your question.
Well, my question was, I've heard that Socrates talks about the good. What is the good? That was my question to Michael, and he sent me a chapter of The Republic, which was pretty dense. I'm hoping to get the condensed version here in 27 minutes. So,
Cliff notes on Socrates and the good.
Please, give me the quick and dirty. Give me the one.
I wanted to start with another short story, though, before that.
Okay.
It's about the light. Both of them are about the light.
About the light.
Yeah, both are about the light.
Now we're talking about the mystical light.
You'll find out.
Okay.
You'll find out.
Okay.
So this is and I'm trying to link this to Trump versus Clinton. We'll see.
First debate's tomorrow.
Yes, we'll see if when we understand the light, that will enable us to see the appeal of Clinton and the danger of Trump. This is at least the hope in this 20.
So you just laid out where you're at.
Yes, I'm hoping.
Politically.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first story by Dr. Naomi Remen, I believe that's her name, is about a young man of 24 who loses his leg. His whole leg is a true story.
True story? Okay.
Loses his whole leg to bone cancer. Mm-hmm. They have to amputate. Mm-hmm. And he is very, very bitter.
Sure. It's very difficult.
And is angry at all healthy people.
Yeah.
And she works with him in therapy for 2 years. And eventually he's beginning to learn to accept. He has an artificial leg now. Accept this is his new life. He's going to deal with it as best he can. And he decides to go into the hospital that he's been in and go to other people who are in difficult places. And goes into a woman's room who had had a double mastectomy, both breasts taken away. She had the radio on, and she didn't even look up. She didn't want to talk to anyone. But he was on a mission. He wanted to get her attention. So he couldn't. So he takes off his artificial leg. And on one leg, to the music and the radio, he starts dancing around the room. He's doing it. And she looks up with tears in her eyes and some form of cheerful smile and says, "Okay, If you can dance, I can sing. And she starts to sing.
That's a great story. That's a great story.
He then goes back to his therapist. And after he tells her this, she says, well, maybe it's time to look at your progress over these last many years. And they look at a drawing he did when he first had the amputation. She asked him, would you please draw how you feel about your body now? And he drew a vase, and it had a thick crack through the middle of it, and he took black crayon and with bitterness, he said, that's my body. And she shows it to him, and after still many more months, maybe even a year, when they're having a session, he says, I want to see that picture again. And he says, it's not finished. And she has all her art supplies, and he takes out the yellowest crayon he could find, and over the black crack in the vase, he just again and again draws yellow. A little of it can go through this old black crayon. She says, what are you doing? He says, well, through the broken places, the light comes through. And she summarized it that we can become stronger in the places we're deeply wounded. So that is an introduction to Plato's story about the cave and the good. And Socrates' questions maybe we all ask, what's life really about?
So just to clarify for our audience, so when we're talking about Plato and Socrates, Plato was Socrates' biographer.
And student. Yep.
So Socrates himself did not write anything down.
Nothing at all.
But Plato wrote down these many sayings, these stories, these ideas.
And embellished them and wrote them.
Made them his own, I guess.
Made them his own, yes.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much is Plato and how much is Socrates.
Yeah.
And Plato started the first university. It was called the Academa. And that's why we call it the Academy.
Okay.
It lasted for hundreds and hundreds of years. And one of Plato's students was Aristotle. So,
oh, okay. The lineage.
yeah. So
Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
yes, and then Alexander was Aristotle's student.
Alexander the Great?
Alexander the Great.
No kidding.
Yep. And Alexander the Great, when he went around to conquer the world, would send biological specimens back to Aristotle, saying, I know you're interested in plants. This is coming from India.
Here's a dead one.
Yeah.
Here's some dead plants and animals.
He revered his teacher.
Yeah.
So Socrates says in the Republic, written by Plato, this is what really most life is about. That we're born and we're in chains. We're just sitting and we're in chains.
Is this the cave analogy?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So this is very famous.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard this, listen up, because this is, you need this in order to be culturally, complete.
Well, also,
culturally and...
No, this might lead us to the light, though.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the light.
So he says most people are born in a cave and are chained. I had a colleague.
Do they know that they're chained?
No, they don't know it. I had a colleague when I told you this, when I first went to teach in maximum security prison. And he says, Michael, it's not just the people in prison that are in prison, but most all of us are in prison.
Guards included? Is that
Guards and
okay.
teachers, and even, hard to believe, even us. And we've written on the bars, you'd understand this, please don't take me out of here.
This is my home.
It's the only home I have.
Yeah.
So we get comfortable in our prisons, in Plato's story, we're really chained. And behind us, there's a wall. There's a wall behind us here. And people walk or hold puppets over the wall. And behind them is a huge fire.
Huge fire.
Yep. And we who are chained can't turn around.
Because we're chained.
Yes, we only can see a wall in front of us, and we see the images of trees, people, animals, and that's all we know. And so I might say to you, hey, look at that. That's really great, that woman, you know, and it's just, but we don't know. We think that's what's reality. We think that's real.
Yeah.
That's all we've known.
Yeah.
We've been watching TV all this time.
The Apprentice.
Yeah, whatever we've been watching, and that's all we know. We don't know this. This is certainly true of me even this week, even though I've told this story so many times. And somebody is uncomfortable in the cave. Just something doesn't feel right, and he then notices, oh my, I'm chained, and he breaks the chains and begins to stumble toward the entrance of the cave.
Now, the entrance to the cave, is that behind us?
That's on the kind of the side, because he's looking at the wall where everyone else was, and seeing the images of the trees and the people and so on.
Right.
So it's to the right. He can get out of the mouth of the cave and get out.
Okay, so the mouth is at the right. Behind us are the fire and the puppets.
Yeah. And we see just
all we see is the shadows.
The shadow of puppets to boot. It's really brutal.
Puppets,
not even the shadow of real people.
Yeah.
You know, like movies or TV or our lives.
Yeah, or YouTube.
Yep. And so, but I was like this before that even. And so Socrates breaks out, or you or me, and the first thing, as soon as he gets into the light of day, is
So he goes outside.
He goes outside, and he's blinded by the light. It's just too hard to handle.
Yeah, it's too much.
And so it's very confusing. This is helpful if anyone's confused. It's very confusing. And eventually, since he doesn't want to go back there yet, he begins to see a real tree or a real squirrel or a real person. It's just so delicious, you know, to see a tree, and the sky is so beautiful,
So vivid, so deep.
yes, and he's nothing ever like this before. And then he sees the sun and realizes, oh my, everything is so beautiful looking because of the light of the sun. The sun is helping make all this beauty. And then he looks in the night sky and he realizes, well, the sun is just one of all of these shining luminaries. So he says this shining cosmic web, he called it the good. That just like the sun is making so much in this in our world, so much beauty, this is even beyond our understanding.
So so what he's calling the good is basically what's outside. It's the sky, it's the sun, it's the trees, it's the real trees and the real light. It's
and
everything.
then beyond, and then there's something beyond that. Beyond that, just like the sun is making everything beautiful.
Yeah.
The sun is just one of many suns.
Yeah.
And their organs.
So what is the good is what is real, which is what is outside the cave.
But also that harmony, that that the stars are working together. That it's
so what's
a web of.
So what is then, knowing this, what is inside the cave? What's there?
That's what he is. Then he goes back.
Oh, he does go back. Okay.
And he says, "Hey, Koran, you're chained. Get out of your chains. There's a world where there's beautiful trees and people, and then there's the sun, and then there's this, I'll call it the good, you could call it the harmony of life beyond your understanding."
If you're God talk guy, you could probably call it God, right?
Well, that's what Nietzsche said, that this story of Plato, when wanting to appeal to masses, that Christianity is Plato for the people. Christianity took this story and said, okay, we can call it God, but calling it God is a little tricky. But you know this, because if you think you know it, this is beyond our understanding.
Don't presume now.
Yeah,
never presume.
Yes, this is beyond. And so he goes to it and he says, Koran, you have no idea what's waiting for you. And I say to him, you're ruining the television show. Stop it. I'm just at the end of the movie.
You're in the way. Get out of the way. I'm trying to see here.
He says, no, I love you. I love you.
The Patriots on.
I love you, Michael Mack. No, come. And finally, the people say, Socrates, this is enough. You're making us feel really, really bad. And we're going to do what we do to everybody who makes us feel that we're not real.
We're going to kill you.
And we're going to kill you. And they do. They really vote to kill him.
Yeah. The Athenians.
There's a vote, and he's vote, and a jury of about 500 of his peers say you're corrupting people by telling us that our gods are not real and there's something way more real, and that's too dangerous for civil order. Have some hemlock, please.
And so he, I suppose, in a not, I can see some parallels to the passion of Jesus here, to the passion of Jesus Christ. He willingly drinks the hemlock, right?
Yeah, he could have escaped.
He doesn't fight it.
He doesn't. He thought it would be a good career move, actually, because he was 70.
Well, if you want to be immortalized, one way to do it, not always, it's not guaranteed, but one way to do it is to go out with a bang. And I guess if you drink the hemlock.
Yeah, he could have gone. His friends were rich. They could have helped him escape to another city. But no, I love this city. Take that, you guys.
And so the parallel to me really is quite striking, because Pilate in at least one, probably two or three of the Gospels, said to Jesus, gave him the option and said, what do you have to say for yourself? Don't you know that you're about to be condemned? Here's your opportunity to defend yourself. He says nothing. Says nothing. So it's sort of like he knew where he was headed, not unlike Socrates.
And Joshua probably, since Israel had been controlled by the Greeks for a long time before the Romans, probably Joshua knew of the story of Socrates in the cave.
Because Greek was the lingua franca.
Yes, that was the New Testament, was written in Greek.
Yeah.
So they certainly...
And trading was done through...
Yes. So
through Greek.
Well, they were also ruled by the Greeks for hundreds of years in Israel. So that's my analogy with Hillary and...
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
So bringing it all home.
I hope.
In the remaining 9 minutes.
I understand Trump as appealing to the people...
Okay, now wait a second. Before you go there.
Thank you, because I want to...
Before you go there.
Stopping me there.
So we got the cave.
Yeah.
We got the TV. We've got the illusions.
Yeah.
The TV that's playing in front of us.
Yeah.
And we've got the guy who goes out and sees the real world.
The trees and
then comes back and tells us.
And even more than the real world, the great... beyond our understanding, he called it the good.
The great good.
That keeps things, so much beauty happening. Beauty beyond our understanding.
And he comes back and says, hey, wake up.
Yep.
Turn off the TV. Come outside.
Yes.
See what's out there.
Yes.
And they said, you're in the way.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So bring it home now to the election. First,
I might need your help, but I think at least Hillary at her best is saying we can do it together.
Better together. That's the slogan.
Yes, there is harmony, there is beauty, there is good, there is justice if we work together. And Trump, I think, is appealing, he's trying to appeal to people who don't see how beautiful it is to work together in love, in harmony.
And divisive, I think, would be a fair estimation.
And if someone comes...
Do you know what the Trump-Pence campaign's slogan is? I mean, so better together is Hillary's.
Yep.
What is Trump's?
Me. Me, 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 me. Trust me, 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 me. Yes, is that it?
That might be it. Maybe it's just the Trump brand. The Trump brand is the slogan. Yeah, I haven't heard a slogan.
So the maybe, and this might be stretching it, but it could be, Trump could be appealing to people, to some people who don't see, because we all have this in us. We're all angry, right? We all have primal urges in us and can get angry.
We all get upset. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we all, and we can want to blame other people for, and Trump appeals to that, and Hillary is saying, get out. You know, I understand that, but let's get out of that, and let's get out of this divisiveness, and let us work together.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, that's my story.
That's it?
That's it.
That's all you got?
That's
We've got 6 minutes left. What are you going to do with the rest of your time?
You're going to comment on it.
Huh.
Or ask questions, whatever you like.
Ask questions of the master?
No, ask questions of the student.
Okay.
Or just your responses, or you might have a story about the light breaking into the light.
Well, you know, in my heart of hearts, the story that you told me, I had heard years ago, the story of the cave and the shadows and the fire behind, and I'd forgotten the part about the guy going out, leaving the cave and seeing the real world. I had forgotten that. But I will say that one of the really personally important stories that I've heard recently, it was from that neurosurgeon whose name I'm blanking on right now.
Carson, who was running against Trump?
What?
Ben Carson?
No. This was a guy who, he died. He had a clinical brain death.
Oh.
And
I might not know.
we've talked about this, though. Proof of Heaven was the name of the book that he wrote about his journey.
Yeah.
And if I'm lucky, I will remember his name before this is over. But anyway, the title of the book was Proof of Heaven. And it was, for him, his own personal proof, because he died, was unresponsive, was not, couldn't be brought back to life. But while his body was dead, he went on this journey, and he went to heaven. And he describes it in some detail in this book. And there was a vividness to it that was one of the things that I found really striking about this story, that he said that it was like that in comparison to what he was seeing there, everything here was just a shadow. And, you know, I'm also reminded of in the Hindu tradition, there is the idea that we are living in illusion. Now, what does that mean? Well, Dr. Johnson would kick a boulder and demonstrate that you can still get hurt kicking an illusion, but what the Indian mystics, what the Indian tradition says is that, you know, this world that we see is illusory, that it's transitory, that it's not real. So, of course, that begs the question, well, if this isn't real, what is? And then we have people like Socrates, and I don't know if Socrates had the experience himself, or whether he went on, or whether it was something that he intuited.
No, he did have this experience, I think, and Plato too. Like the boy, like the 24-year-old boy who lost his leg. The light came through.
Yeah.
I think we're all chips off the old cosmic block, and often in difficult situations, sometimes in enjoyable ones. In some ways, he was enjoying himself dancing in the room with the woman who was so depressed. And if we can break through our ordinary persona, we can discover a beautiful light beyond our understanding.
And sometimes just doing something differently.
Yeah.
Doing almost anything differently.
Now, an interesting question. We only have 2.5 minutes. Tell me if this is of interest to you. There's a difference between calling that cosmic harmony, that web of life, God, and calling it the good.
Part of the reason why there is a difference is because God, the idea of God, the word God comes with a lot of baggage, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. And that's why so many teachers or mystics have tried to speak of God with new language. Speaking of the beloved, speaking of the Christ, talking about the Christ, the cosmic Christ.
Christ consciousness.
Christ consciousness, trying to find new language to describe this that is always new, that is ever new, that is ever revealing, and is...
and is always beyond.
Is both beyond and in.
And in, yes.
Yeah, it's immanent and transcendent simultaneously.
If we get either one, we're in trouble, because if we think it's just beyond.
As soon as we think that we know what it is,
yes, we don't
know what it is.
We don't know it, right.
It's sort of like the Heisenberg principle.
Same with ourselves, same with everything, really. Even trees, it's always something we're growing with.
I think that it's constantly revealing itself to us all the time, and we can catch glimpses.
Yes.
But as soon as we catch a glimpse and say, aha, now that I've got it, now it's this, and we can develop a doctrine to say we can contain it then in this vessel.
Yes, and then we're back in the cave.
And then it's gone.
We're back in the cave, yes.
Yeah, back in the cave.
And tempting, even this could be part of containing it. What we just said.
Well, it would be if we decided to make a doctrine out of it.
A doctrine out of the mystery. Do we know? No, it's...
the mystery is unspeakable and ineffable and holy and gracious,
7 seconds.
We've got 7 seconds to say, thank you for tuning in. We'll
God
be back
bless,
in about
and the good bless.
3 minutes.
The God and good be with you. Us.